We all enjoy movies, whether it's the movies you saw as a kid, the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you tremble, the movies that make you bite your nails, the ones that inspire you, and so on. But then there are those rare movies that impact you and speak to you to a degree you never thought a movie possibly could. One of those rare movies for me was 2009's 500 Days of Summer, and in today's video, I want to explain and share with you why this quirky romantic dramedy is my favorite film of all time. So first off, if you haven't seen the movie, I definitely recommend watching it before you watch this video, as I will break down and analyze a lot of it and there will be spoilers. But trust me, this movie is definitely worth your time. It's pretty funny and it's got a lot of love in it. So of course I love this movie, as it is my favorite film of all time, and I even bought it from Blockbuster. Just to let you know how long I've been in love with this movie, I've kept the original DVD that I got from Blockbuster. So for those of you who don't know, 500 Days of Summer is a story about Tom Hansen, this guy, and Summer Flynn, this girl. They meet in an office that they both work at, and right away Tom Hansen is head over heels for this girl without even knowing her. That's because his whole life he's been in love with the idea of love. He's fallen victim to the idea that he would not be complete until he has someone who he loves, until he has the girl of his dreams. I think a lot of us can relate to that in some way, where we feel like we are supposed to be with a partner and we are afraid of loneliness. He is afraid to be alone. He believes if he finds the right girl, everything in life will make sense, he will get his career together, and he will be truly happy. Little does he know, that's not the case. Summer, on the other hand, is a free spirit who doesn't like attachment, who likes to live without consequence, who likes to be in the moment and do what she really wants. The narrator proves this whenever he tells us that she only loved her long hair growing up, but she also loved how she felt nothing whenever she would cut it off. Clearly, Summer Finn is kind of crazy. The movie shows us that there's something about Summer no one can explain. People just like her. They gravitate toward her, and she attracts Tom Hansen. Now, there's many reasons why I love this film, and I want to focus on the story because the story is what impacted me the most. I've seen this movie over 20 times, and every time I watch it, I always get something new out of it, and that's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorites. As I've grown up with it, I've learned to see both sides of each character, and I've actually experienced and felt the same way that these two characters do throughout the movie. One of them is infatuated and in love, and the other is just entertaining the other person's infatuation. I feel like we've all been there, where we're head over heels for somebody, and then we've had somebody head over heels for us. When someone's head over heels for us and we don't feel the same way, it's hard. And then also when we're head over heels for somebody and they don't feel the same way, it's harder. So I love that this movie explores that, because relationships aren't always perfect. Sometimes somebody likes the other person more. Sometimes the other person wants to just play around and have fun, and sometimes the other person wants something serious. Another part of this movie that I really like is the transformation and the lessons learned from this story. Movies are just stories, and stories are meant to tell us about the human experience and condition. And this movie loves to explore love itself. Tom Hansen loves love. He believes in love without a doubt. Summer doesn't believe in love. Her parents were divorced, and she just thinks that love doesn't exist because she's never seen it. And she feels like relationships are messy and people's feelings always get hurt. So she doesn't believe in destiny, she doesn't believe in soulmates, and she does not believe in love. Tom Hansen, on the other hand, believes in all those things. So during this whole movie and their relationship, you have a battle of ideals. After my first viewings of this movie, I always thought that Summer was awful and she was the bad guy. But over repeat viewings, I've noticed that she is very clear and apparent to Tom that she's not looking for anything serious. However, despite this, Tom still goes after her, and she entertains it. They have a fling, basically. She'll tell him, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious, but then be naked in his bed. She's just having fun, and I think throughout the film, she knows that this guy's head over heels for her, so she has fun with it. I think she believes that she's doing him a favor by hooking up with him and by dating him and talking to him. However, Tom doesn't have a lot of confidence. Tom is insecure. Tom went to school for architecture, yet after school, he becomes a greeting card writer. So he's obviously not doing what he loves. And while he's at work at his office desk, you can see some of his diagrams that he's drawn for architecture, and he's really talented. But he does not pursue it because he's pursuing the wrong thing. He's pursuing love instead of his passion. This movie delves into that idea very hard later on, and that's one of the reasons why I love this movie. Because I always felt like everything would be alright if I was in love. I felt like everything would make sense if I had somebody who loved me, but that's not the case. The most important lesson in this movie is to love yourself and to find something that you love for yourself. And not to put that on someone else, but to put that on yourself. It's your responsibility. to find what you love and to find what makes you happy. And if that is a person, then that's great, but that shouldn't be the only thing, because people come and go. And that's what this movie's all about. Summer came into this man's life, hurt him so much that the only thing he could do was grow from it. And he does. After Summer breaks up with him finally and breaks his heart, he starts to find himself. He starts to explore his passion more. He starts to look for a better job. He quits his job. He starts to change his whole ideology on what life is all about. It's not all about just love. And I think that's incredible, because people need that. People need to understand that we are our own people. We are individuals. We have our own dreams. We have our own passions. Summer understood that, and she saw that Tom did not. She was not ready to be Tom's everything. One thing I want to explain is the reason why it's called 500 Days of Summer, and what makes this film kind of unique is that there's a lot of time hopping. At the very beginning of He Meets Her, there's a title card that pops up with 1. And as the movie goes on, it bounces back between the first day he met her and the 500 days after he met her. That choice in editing style makes the relationship seem so interesting and fresh, because we're thrown into these different days and different time periods of the relationship and where they're at in life. And it's interesting to explore what happened, how did they get there, how do they feel now, and why they feel that way. There are a lot of memorable moments, and there's a lot of scenes that men and women can relate to. And that's what I love about this movie. It's real. There are scenes that are really cheesy and that some people don't connect with, but other people might connect to that because they are that cheesy. But for the most part, the movie is not completely cheesy. The movie does get real on a lot of scenes, and it will break your heart in some ways if you really understand and feel for the character of Tom Hansen. As I've grown up, I've kind of alienated myself from Tom Hansen, but as I was growing up as a kid when I first saw this, I completely felt like Tom Hansen. And that's what I love about this movie. Like I said, it still teaches me lessons with every viewing, and I love to show it off to people to see how they feel about the relationship, who was right and who was wrong. And in the end, Summer gets married to another man. She finds love, and it breaks his heart. However, he finds himself and starts to create himself and explore his passion for architecture. And in the very last scene, he goes to a job interview. And while he's waiting for the job interview, there's another girl who's into architecture who's pretty, and she's trying to get the job that he's going for. And they have a little bit of small talk, but it's nothing serious. And then he walks off to go to his job interview, but runs back because he still hasn't given up on love, and asks her if she would like to get coffee. At first she says no, and he's sad, but he's okay with it. If he loses her, it's not the end of the world. So he walks off, but then she goes after him and she says, yeah, why not? I'll go with you. And he says, I'm Tom Hansen, what's your name? And she says, I'm Autumn. And then the counter starts over again, and it's day 1 of Autumn. There's a lot of other reasons why I love this film. The cinematography in this film is incredible. Not only that, the soundtrack is one of the most memorable soundtracks I've ever seen in a film. It has great music, like every song fits every single scene. The humor in this movie is spot on. I can guarantee that you will laugh at least once during this film. The acting is incredible. I really felt the chemistry between Zooey Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I really cannot see anybody else in these roles. They have made these roles iconic to me, and I love these actors. Even the side characters are hilarious. You have actors like Jeffrey Aaron, Chloe Grace Moretz, Matthew Gray Gubler from Criminal Minds, and even Clark Gregg from The Avengers. When those characters are in the movie, they do a really good job of adding and fleshing out the ideas that are explored in this movie. Now, I could go on all day about this movie, but I don't want to make this video too long. I just kind of want to explain why this is my favorite movie of all time. It's because it impacted me incredibly. It taught me so many lessons about love and about life, and what we should really prioritize, and that happiness for everyone is different, but that happiness should never be placed on one person. It's also my favorite film because I have been Tom Hansen and I have been Summer Finn. I've been on both sides. I've hurt a girl and I've been hurt by a girl. I understand now that it made me better. This movie is an example that it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And yes, losing somebody you love is hard. It is one of the hardest things you could possibly go through, but it's not the end of the world. There's more to life than just one other person and yours. You create your own identity. You create what makes you happy, and you are responsible for yourself, and you should never place that on anybody else. And that's why I love 500 Days of Summer. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Alec Garza, and I love movies and making videos on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like, and if you care to watch more of my videos, just go right there and you'll see more. Please consider subscribing because I make videos every Wednesday, and I would love to interact more with y'all. And if you have any feedback of any kind, please let me know in the comments below. Have you seen 500 Days of Summer? Do you want to see it after seeing this video? And if you have seen the movie, do you agree with some of my points about why this movie is so good? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next week. Cheers.